cold wind whispered through the ruins of the old scrapyard. Rusted machines lay scattered like dead giants. The evening sun burned low behind the gray horizon, and smoke drifted slowly above the metal heaps. Eli Carter tightened his old coat and walked between piles of broken engines. He was searching for spare wires to repair the village power line. The war had left everything in pieces, machines, homes, even hearts. Then he heard it. A faint sound, like a small cry. It wasn't human. It was thin, trembling, and scared. Eli froze. His eyes scanned the shadows between wrecked cargo pods. The cry came again, soft, broken. He moved closer and lifted a fallen steel plate. Underneath it, half hidden in dust and ash, lay a small alien child. Her skin was pale silver, glowing faintly under the fading light. Her hair, tangled and dirty, shimmered with a faint blue hue. But what caught Eli's breath was her leg, or what was left of it. From her knee down, only wires and metal scraps replaced the missing limb. It looked like someone had tried to build a leg from garbage. The girl flinched when she saw him. Her big glowing eyes widened in fear. She tried to crawl away, but the broken limb sparked painfully, making her whimper. Eli slowly knelt, raising both hands to show he meant no harm. "Hey, it's okay," he said softly. "I won't hurt you." The child didn't speak. She pressed herself against the wall, trembling. Eli had seen aliens before. Soldiers, merchants, even refugees. But this one was different. She was too small, too fragile, too lost. Something deep inside him, something human, stirred. He took off his glove and placed it gently on the ground between them. "See, no weapons. No tricks, just help." Her eyes darted from his face to his hand. For a long, tense moment, nothing happened. Then she whispered something in her native tongue, a soft, melodic sound. He didn't understand, but he nodded anyway. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. She didn't reply. Her voice came again, weak and afraid. "Lura, Lura," he repeated with a small smile. "Pretty name." The child blinked, unsure. Eli looked at her broken leg. The edges were raw metal and melted skin, clearly something she'd built herself, desperate to move again. "Who did this to you?" he murmured. She turned her face away. Silent tears rolled down her dusty cheeks. Eli sighed. He looked around the scrapyard. No one. Just the wind and dying light. He picked up his bag and said, "Come on, Laura, let's fix that leg." She shook her head quickly. "Humans and kill. My people." Eli stopped. The words hit him like a blade. He knew she wasn't wrong. The war between their races had ended only months ago. Her fear was real, but he couldn't walk away. "Not this human," he said quietly. "Not today." Slowly, he extended his hand toward her. "Let me help you stand." The child hesitated, staring at his hand. Then, trembling, she reached out. Her small, cold fingers touched his. The moment their hands met, something strange happened. A faint glow pulsed under her skin like a living heartbeat. A symbol appeared briefly on her neck, a mark shaped like a spiral of stars. Eli didn't notice, but far away, satellites did. He gently lifted her into his arms. She weighed almost nothing. He could feel the faint vibration of alien energy inside her body. "Easy now," he whispered. "We'll fix you up, little one." As he walked through the broken path toward his workshop, Laura's head rested weakly against his shoulder. Her eyes half closed, but her lips moved softly, as if whispering a prayer. When they reached his small workshop, the air smelled of oil and metal dust. Old machines lined the walls. Tools hung from shelves, most half-broken. It wasn't much, but to Eli it was home. He placed her gently on the table and turned on the light. The white glow reflected in her eyes, making her look even more fragile. "Let's see that leg," he murmured. She tensed again, ready to pull away. Eli smiled gently. "Don't worry. I fix things. It's what I do." He pulled out an old set of mechanical parts, a mix of human steel and alien alloy he'd scavenged after the war. His hands moved with careful precision. He was no doctor, but he was an artist with metal. Hours passed. The night grew colder, but Eli didn't stop. He melted, shaped, and molded pieces together until they fit. Laura watched silently, her eyes wide. For the first time, she saw a human working not to destroy, but to build. When he finally finished, he held up a small prosthetic limb. Light, elegant, glowing faintly blue. "There," he said with a tired smile. "A new leg just for you." Her lips trembled. "For me?" Eli nodded. "For you." He attached the limb carefully. The moment it connected, the glow from her body merged with the prosthetic. It came alive, moving, breathing like a living part of her. Laura gasped and tried to stand. Her steps were shaky, but she didn't fall. For the first time in who knows how long, she walked. Eli laughed softly. "Look at you go." The little alien smiled, a small, beautiful smile that lit up the dim workshop. But outside, above the clouds, hidden eyes watched. A satellite blinked. A signal was sent. In the alien capital, deep in the Star Palace, a queen received the message, her daughter, alive. And a human had touched her. The queen's eyes glowed cold and bright. "Find him," she whispered. The night outside was quiet, but inside the workshop the sound of small footsteps echoed. Laura was walking, slowly, carefully, her new leg glowing faintly in the dim light. Every step made a soft mechanical hum, and her silver skin reflected the light from Eli's lamps. Eli leaned against the workbench, smiling as he watched her take her first proper steps. "Steady now," he said gently. "You don't have to rush." Laura turned to him, her glowing eyes uncertain. "It listens to me," she whispered, her voice still weak. "Like it's part of me." Eli chuckled softly. "That's because it is. The limb isn't just metal. It's built with a living core, reacts to your thoughts, your energy." She frowned, touching the glowing joint. "Human made this?" Eli shrugged. "Human hands, but alien heart." He pointed to the crystal core pulsing inside the limb. "That came from your ship's wreckage. Found it years ago. Didn't know what it was until tonight." Laura tilted her head, studying him. "Why help me?" The question silenced the room. Eli stared at the floor for a moment before answering. "Because when I was your age," he said softly, "no one helped me either." He turned back to his tools, pretending to be busy. But his mind wandered to memories. The flames, the screaming, the war that took everything from him. He'd lost his family, his home, and his faith in both species. Until now, Laura sat on a stool, still testing her new leg. Her expression softened. "Humans? And my people fight, kill." "Yeah," Eli said quietly. "And for what?" "Borders, pride." He sighed. "Maybe it's time someone built instead of broke." There was silence again. Only the ticking of a broken wall clock filled the air, then a sound and a small laugh. Laura was giggling. It was light and fragile, like something that hadn't been heard in years. "What's funny?" Eli asked. "You talk like teachers," she said, smiling for the first time. Serious face. "Old words," Eli raised an eyebrow. "Old? I'm 34. She laughed again, louder this time. The sound made the cold workshop feel a little warmer. Outside, however, unseen eyes were watching. A small drone, hidden among the scrapyard debris, recorded every movement through its cracked lens. The Alien Empire's satellite network had already detected Laura's royal bloodmark. Now confirmation was being sent to the capital. Back inside, Eli was preparing food, a bowl of warm soup, the only thing he could make. He placed it gently in front of her. "Eat. You must be starving." Laura looked at the bowl curiously, then took a small sip. Her eyes widened in surprise. "Warm," she said softly. "Tastes like home," Eli smiled. "Then have more." As she ate slowly, Eli returned to his table and began sketching something on a metal sheet, a drawing of her new limb. The design was different from anything used on Earth or by the aliens. It was alive, a mix of compassion and science, built not for war but for healing. Laura walked closer and peered over his shoulder. "You draw good," she said. "Years of practice," he replied. "Used to design machines for the army." "Not anymore. Why stop?" Eli's hand paused over the drawing. "Because my machines took lives. Now I build things to give them back." Laura nodded slowly, not fully understanding but feeling the weight in his voice. Suddenly, the workshop lights flickered. A faint hum filled the air, low, deep, and wrong. Eli froze. He recognized that sound. Cloaked ships. He ran to the window and looked out. The sky above the scrapyard shimmered faintly like ripples in water. Something was up there. "What is it?" Laura asked, fear returning to her voice. Eli forced a calm smile. Nothing, probably just a storm. But his eyes betrayed him. He could see the faint blue glows, stealth field distortions. He turned off all lights. "Come on, we need to stay quiet." Laura obeyed instantly. Her instincts told her the same thing. Something was coming. They hid behind the heavy metal door, surrounded by shadows and the smell of oil. The hum outside grew louder, then it stopped. Silence. A moment later, a small flash of blue light flickered outside, like a camera shutter. Eli clenched his jaw. "They're scanning," he whispered. "Who?" He looked at her, his expression grave. "Your people." Her eyes widened in shock. "No, they can't find me." "I escaped." Eli didn't ask from what. He just nodded. "We'll keep you safe. I promise." Hours passed. The sound outside faded away. Eli finally turned the lamps back on. Laura had fallen asleep on the floor, wrapped in an old blanket. Her face looked peaceful, the kind of peace she hadn't known in a long time. Eli sat nearby, watching her sleep. In the quiet, his heart ached with strange warmth. There was something about her, and not just her innocence, but her strength. Even broken and hunted, she had tried to build her own leg. He whispered to himself, "You're stronger than most humans I know." But as he said it, a small red light blinked on the ceiling, hidden in one of his old security cameras. The signal was being transmitted to orbit, thousands of miles away on the alien Queen's flagship. A holographic image appeared, and the girl, alive, smiling, walking beside a human. The Queen's hands trembled. "My daughter," she breathed. Her advisors rushed to her side. "Your Majesty, the human is with her. He must be captured." But the Queen raised a hand. Her voice was cold yet curious. "No, not yet." She stared at Eli's face in the projection, the tired eyes, the gentle smile. "Bring him to me, alive." In the endless void of space, the alien royal fleet drifted in silent formation. Thousands of glowing ships surrounding one massive flagship that shimmered with living light. Inside that ship, the Queen of Aelora stood before a giant holographic screen. The image flickered, a human man and a small alien child inside a dusty workshop. The child's mechanical leg glowed softly, alive with alien energy. Her heart trembled. For years she had believed her daughter was dead, lost in the war's final chaos. Now here she was, alive, and walking again with a human by her side. "Who is he?" the Queen asked in a calm, icy tone. An officer stepped forward and bowed deeply. "Name Eli Carter. Human engineer. War survivor. Lives on the border colony of Tarvin 3. No record of aggression." "Then why?" the Queen whispered, her voice soft but sharp as glass. "Does he hold my child?" The hall fell silent. The advisors exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, one of them spoke. "Your Majesty, it could be a trap. Humans have long used deception." The Queen's gaze snapped toward him, her eyes glowing bright silver. "Do you see fear in her eyes?" she said, pointing to the hologram of Lura smiling. "Does she look captured?" The advisor bowed his head quickly. No, Majesty." The Queen turned back to the image. Her hand reached toward it, trembling slightly as she touched the glowing projection of her child. A tear, faint and shining, rolled down her cheek. "She walks again," she murmured. "After all these years." She straightened and faced her royal guards. "Find the human. Bring him to me alive." The guards saluted sharply. "Yes, Majesty." "And if he resists?" one asked carefully. The Queen's voice softened. "Then do not harm him. A man who gives a child her leg back cannot be an enemy." Meanwhile, far below the stars, Eli was cleaning his workbench. The morning light slipped through the broken windows of his workshop, painting golden lines across the floor. Lura was sitting nearby, humming softly while playing with a small metallic bird Eli had made from scrap parts. It was peaceful. Almost too peaceful. Eli glanced at the horizon. The scrapyard stretched endlessly, but something about the silence felt heavy. "Strange," he muttered. "No patrol drones today." Lura looked up. "Bad thing?" "Maybe," Eli replied, tightening his jaw. "Or maybe the calm before something worse." He didn't know that far above, ships were already descending, their cloaked engines humming through the clouds. Lura tilted her head suddenly. "I feel them," she whispered. Her voice trembled. "They are near." Eli turned sharply. "What do you mean, you feel them?" "The Queen's seekers," she said, pressing her hand against her chest. "They follow royal blood. They follow me." Before he could respond, the workshop lights flickered. Blue ripples of energy washed across the walls. A deep, resonant hum filled the air. Eli grabbed her hand. "Get behind me." The air above them shimmered. Then with a crack of light, 3 armored figures appeared, tall, silver-skinned, wearing armor that pulsed like living glass. Their eyes glowed a sharp, piercing blue. The lead guard stepped forward. "Human Eli Carter," he said in a calm, mechanical tone. "You are ordered to come with us." Eli stood his ground. "And if I say no?" The guard's visor flickered. "Then your world will burn before sunset." Before Eli could answer, Lura rushed forward, shouting in her alien tongue. Her voice echoed through the workshop, powerful and commanding. The guards froze immediately. The lead soldier lowered his weapon. "Princess," he whispered. Eli blinked. "Princess?" Lura's head dropped. Shame and fear crossed her face. "I didn't tell," she said softly. "I didn't want you to be scared." Eli stared at her, stunned. "You mean you're—" Before he could finish, one guard stepped aside and spoke into his communicator. "Confirming royal signal. Target confirmed as Princess Lura of Valora. Preparing extraction." "No!" Lura shouted. "He comes too." The lead guard hesitated. "Princess, the Queen only ordered—" "He comes too," she cried, her voice shaking the air. The guards looked at one another, uncertain. Finally, the leader bowed. "As you command, Princess." Light surrounded them, blue, blinding. In an instant, the workshop, the scrapyard, and the entire world vanished. Eli gasped as the light faded. He stood inside a massive hall, tall crystalline pillars reaching up into a ceiling of stars. The air smelled like sweet ozone. Alien music hummed faintly in the background. Vibrating through the floor, before him stood the Queen. Her presence filled the chamber. Tall, elegant, her silver skin glowing softly, her eyes deep with both love and sorrow. Lura broke free from the guards and ran to her mother. "Mother!" she cried. The Queen knelt and caught her in her arms, holding her tightly. Her face broke into tears as she whispered words in their native language, words that trembled with both relief and guilt. Then her eyes turned toward Eli. The hall grew silent. Again, Eli swallowed hard and bowed slightly. "Your Majesty," he said, voice low but steady. "I didn't know she was—" The Queen raised a hand. "You gave her back what war took from her. You gave her hope. For that I owe you a debt I can never repay." Eli blinked in surprise. I just built her a leg." The Queen's gaze softened, but her voice carried weight. "To build is easy, to heal is rare." One of her advisors stepped forward angrily. "Majesty, he touched royal blood. It is forbidden." The Queen silenced him with a single glare. "Enough. This human will not be harmed." Then she looked back at Eli. "You will stay here, Eli Carter. You will tell me how you did what our finest could not." Eli hesitated, glancing at Lura, who smiled at him with trust shining in her eyes. "And if I refuse?" he asked quietly. The Queen stepped closer. The air between them shimmered with energy. "Then I will ask not as a queen," she said softly, "but as a mother." Her voice broke slightly. "Please, help me understand how you gave my child her life back." Eli looked into her eyes, and for the first time, he saw not a ruler, not an alien, but a mother who had lost everything. He nodded slowly. "Then I'll help." The palace of Valora Prime was unlike anything Eli had ever seen. Its walls shimmered as if made of starlight frozen in crystal. The air itself hummed with a low vibration, alive with alien energy. Thousands of hovering lights floated like tiny spirits, guiding him and Lura down the long golden corridor. But the deeper they walked, the more uneasy Eli felt. Every pair of alien eyes that turned toward him carried both awe and hate. He could hear whispers in their tongue, words he couldn't understand, but their tone was clear. A human. Here. Lura walked close beside him, her small hand holding his. She noticed his stiff expression and looked up. "Don't be afraid," she said softly. "Mother won't hurt you." Eli forced a small smile. "It's not her I'm worried about." At the end of the hallway, giant silver doors opened silently. Beyond them was a massive chamber, a throne room that stretched endlessly upward. At its center stood the Queen of Valora, her long robes flowing like liquid light. A faint crown of energy hovered above her head. The moment Eli entered, the alien nobles fell silent. Rows of shimmering figures stood on both sides, their gazes fixed on him, a lone human surrounded by the most powerful beings of the Empire. Lura ran to her mother, who knelt to embrace her again. The sight softened the queen's face, but when she looked back at Eli, her expression became unreadable. "Step forward," she said gently. Yet her voice filled the entire hall. Eli obeyed, walking slowly until he stood before her. "Eli Carter," she began, her voice calm but filled with hidden emotion. "Do you know whose child you saved?" Eli bowed slightly. "I know now. Your daughter," the queen nodded. "Then you must also know the risk you took. To touch royal blood without permission is a crime punishable by death, even for our own kind." The hall stirred with murmurs. A few guards tightened their grips on their weapons. Eli didn't flinch. "If helping a child is a crime," he said quietly, "then maybe your laws need fixing." Gasps rippled through the court. One advisor stepped forward, furious. "Insolence! You dare speak so before the queen?" But the queen raised her hand, silencing the hall. "Let him speak." Eli looked up, meeting her eyes. "I didn't see royalty," he said. "I saw a child starving, scared, and broken. I did what anyone should have done." Laura stood beside her mother now, eyes wide and shining. "He's good," she said softly. "He made me walk again." The queen's eyes softened for a moment, but her tone remained steady. "Your creation." "This limb," she said. "It uses a technology long lost to our people. How did you craft it?" Eli hesitated. "Honestly, I didn't know it was special. I built it using parts I had. Human tech, alien alloy, and instinct." Her brows furrowed. "Instinct?" Eli nodded. "I just wanted to help her walk again. Maybe that's all it takes sometimes. Not knowledge and just care." The queen stared at him for a long moment. Around the hall, her advisors exchanged worried looks. One whispered, "He speaks like one of us." The queen rose slowly from her throne. "Bring him to the Chamber of Echoes," she commanded. The guards stepped forward. Laura tried to protest, but her mother placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Do not fear, my daughter. This is only a test." The Chamber of Echoes was hidden beneath the palace. A circular room of glass and light. Strange runes glowed along the walls, and a floating orb pulsed in the center. It felt alive, humming in rhythm with Eli's heartbeat. "What is this place?" he asked. The queen entered behind him, her robes whispering against the smooth floor. "This chamber reveals truth," she said. "It reads the energy of one's soul. If you built that limb from compassion, the chamber will show it. If not..." Her words hung heavy in the air. Eli stood before the orb. It shimmered, reacting to his presence. The guard stepped back, ready for anything. "Place your hand on the core," the queen instructed. Eli took a deep breath and did as told. The instant his fingers touched the surface, the room exploded in light. A wave of blue and gold energy rippled outward, filling every corner. The queen's eyes widened. She could feel it. The energy was pure, bright, warm. The kind of power that came not from science, but from empathy. Images appeared in the air, flickers of Eli's memories. The war, the loss, the child crying in the scrapyard, his trembling hands building the limb through the night. Every moment burned with one emotion, kindness without expectation. When the light faded, Eli fell to one knee, exhausted. The queen's voice trembled. "It is true," she whispered. "You built from mercy, not ambition." Her advisors fell silent. None dared speak. The queen turned to her guards. "Release him." Eli looked up, confused. "So I pass?" A faint smile touched her lips. "You have done more than that. You have reminded my people what we lost. Compassion." Laura ran into the chamber and hugged him tightly. "See, Mother? I told you." The queen's eyes softened, though a shadow still lingered there. "Yes, my daughter. But this truth will not please everyone." "What do you mean?" Eli asked. She turned toward the glowing walls. "There are those who see your act not as kindness, but as corruption. They will not forgive a human for touching royal blood. Even now the council demands your punishment. So what happens to me?" he asked. The queen stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You will stay here under my protection, until I can convince them otherwise." Eli nodded slowly. "And if they don't believe you?" Her expression darkened. "Then I will defy them." For a brief moment, silence filled the chamber. The queen looked at him, truly looked, and said quietly, "You changed my daughter's fate. Maybe. You'll change ours too." Above them, the energy orb pulsed once more, as if agreeing. And somewhere deep in the palace, unseen by any of them, an ancient machine awakened. its sensors recognizing the same power inside Eli that once belonged to the founders of Valora. Morning broke across Valora Prime like liquid gold spilling through glass. From his balcony, Eli watched the alien city awaken. Glowing ships drifted between spires of light, and silver banners rippled in the energy wind. It should have been beautiful, peaceful, but peace was a fragile thing. Today he was to face the High Council of Valora, the most powerful beings in the Empire, and most of them wanted him dead. He stood quietly, adjusting the clean robe the Queen's servants had given him. Lura burst into the room, her face glowing with excitement and worry. "Mother said they will listen," she said quickly, grabbing his hand. "You only have to tell the truth." Eli smiled faintly. "The truth doesn't always save people, Lura." Her glowing eyes looked up at him with pure faith. "It saved me." He said nothing after that. The Hall of Judgment was massive, built from transparent crystal that seemed to hold living starlight inside it. At its center was a floating platform surrounded by rings of alien figures in long robes. Their eyes burned like moons. Eli stood alone in the middle. The Queen sat on a high throne at the edge of the circle, her expression calm but her hands folded tightly in her lap. Lura sat beside her, clutching a small pendant shaped like the limb Eli had built. When the counselors began to speak, their voices echoed together like thunder. "Human Eli Carter," the central judge intoned, his voice layered with static and power. "You stand accused of trespassing, theft of sacred technology, and contamination of royal blood." Eli's jaw tightened. "Contamination?" She was dying. "Silence," another shouted. "You had no right to touch her." Eli's anger sparked. "I didn't touch a princess. I helped a child. There's a difference if you still remember what that means." The council roared in outrage. Some even rose from their seats, their energy crackling. But the Queen raised her hand. Her presence silenced the room instantly. "Let him speak," she said softly, her eyes never leaving Eli. He took a slow breath. "I didn't come here to start a fight. I came because I found someone who needed help. I didn't care what species she was or what laws said. All I saw was pain, and pain is the same, for human or alien." The chamber fell into uneasy quiet. One of the counselors leaned forward, his voice cold. "And yet in helping her you awakened forbidden power, the harmony energy. That force nearly destroyed our empire once before. What gives you the right to command it?" Eli frowned. "Command it? I don't even understand it. I just cared. Maybe that's the difference. Maybe your empire forgot what that feels like." Gasps rippled again through the council. The Queen's lips curved, just barely, into the faintest hint of a smile. The eldest counselor stood. His face was like carved silver, ancient and proud. "Majesty," he said to the Queen, "this human is dangerous. You cannot protect him. If the harmony bonds to his soul, it may change our balance forever." The Queen rose slowly from her throne. Her voice was soft but carried across the vast hall. Then perhaps the balance needed to change. The words hit the hall like lightning. "You would defy the council?" the elder demanded. "I would honor truth," she replied. "My daughter walks because of this man. He gave life where all your wisdom failed." Lura stood up suddenly. "He saved me. He is not bad." "Child, be silent," one counselor said sharply. But Lura didn't stop. She stepped forward, her voice trembling but brave. "You talk about laws and purity. But none of you came when I was hurt. He did. A human with no reason to care fixed what your whole empire forgot how to heal." The Queen's eyes softened. Eli watched her with quiet pride. The counselors whispered among themselves, their anger now mixed with doubt. Then the eldest one struck his staff on the floor. "Enough. If this man is truly pure, let the harmony judge him again. The crystal core will reveal his heart." Eli sighed softly. "Guess I don't get a lawyer, huh?" The Queen looked at him. "You don't need one." He stepped toward the glowing pillar in the center of the hall. The crystal core pulsed faintly, alive like a beating heart. When he placed his hand upon it, the air itself seemed to breathe. The energy flared, brighter than before, washing the entire hall in warm light. But this time the visions changed. They didn't show Eli's past, they showed the future. Humans and aliens working together. Children of both races playing beneath twin suns, ships flying side by side. The harmony spread like ripples through water, touching everything, healing, connecting. The light dimmed. The hall was silent. The queen whispered, "You see it too." The eldest counselor's voice shook. "Impossible. This is prophecy energy." Laura's eyes were wet. "He's hope," she said softly. The queen stepped down from her throne and faced Eli directly. "The harmony has chosen," she said, "and I will not deny it." She turned to the council. "From this day forward, Eli Carter will be protected under royal decree. Any who harm him will answer to me." The hall erupted in chaos and voices shouting, arguing, threatening. But through it all, the queen remained unshaken. Eli stood still, light fading from his hand, his heart pounding. He had never wanted power, never wanted to be a symbol. But now, whether he liked it or not, he had become one. The queen leaned close and whispered so only he could hear. "You have changed something today, Eli Carter. My people may not thank you now, but history will." The grand hall of judgment was now silent, but the echoes of Eli's trial still trembled through the city like aftershocks. Outside, the skies of Velora Prime glowed with restless light. Ships moved. Crowds gathered and whispers spread faster than fire. The human who awakened the harmony. That night, the queen summoned Eli privately. Her chamber was nothing like the throne room. It was quiet, almost human in its simplicity. Soft curtains of silver light flowed down the walls, and the air carried a gentle hum like the rhythm of a heartbeat. Laura was already there, half asleep on a couch clutching a small glowing crystal, a piece of her old broken limb. The queen stood near the balcony, her gaze lost in the endless sky. "Come in, Eli Carter," she said softly, not turning. "You've made half my empire furious, and the other half hopeful." Eli walked in slowly. "Guess I'm getting used to that reaction." A faint smile touched her lips, but her voice stayed calm. "Do you know what you truly did today? I stopped a room full of glowing people from yelling at me." The queen turned to him, eyes bright but serious. "You reawakened the oldest power in our history, something even my ancestors feared to touch. And you did it without meaning to." Eli frowned. "You mean that energy thing? The harmony?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, the harmony was once the heart of our world. It flowed through all life, connecting mind and machine, body and spirit. We built wonders with it, cities that breathed, ships that sang." Her voice softened, heavy with memory. "But then we tried to own it." She waved her hand and the walls shimmered. A vision appeared and the ancient world of Violora shining like a jewel. Our ancestors wanted to control the harmony. They made weapons, forged armies of light, but the harmony could not be commanded. It lived only in balance. When they forced it, it turned against us. Eli watched in awe as the vision showed great towers collapsing, oceans glowing with fire. "That was the Great Silence," she continued. "It nearly ended our race. Since then, no one has been able to awaken the harmony again, until you." Eli looked down at his hands, uneasy. "But why me? I'm not special, I just didn't want her to suffer." "That," the queen said softly, "is exactly why it answered you." She walked closer, her silver robes trailing like mist. "Our people lost empathy, Eli. We became perfect, cold, logical. But the harmony was never born from knowledge, Mao. It was born from emotion, from care." Eli's throat tightened. "You're saying the harmony isn't technology?" "It's both," she said, tapping her chest lightly. "It is a bridge in between heart and mind, between your humanity and our energy, and your act of compassion rebuilt that bridge." She gestured toward Laura, sleeping peacefully. "You gave life without reward, healed without reason. That purity, the harmony recognized it." Eli rubbed the back of his neck. "You're making it sound like I'm some kind of miracle worker." "I'm just a mechanic who got lucky," the queen smiled sadly. "Perhaps, but even luck can change history." Outside, thunder rumbled, not from the sky but from above it. The council's warships hovered, their engines flaring crimson. The queen's tone darkened. "The council will not accept what happened today. They fear what they cannot control. They think if they destroy you, the harmony will vanish with you." Eli stepped back. "So I'm their new problem." Her eyes softened. "You are their mirror. You remind them what they lost." He looked out the balcony window, across the shining alien city. "What are you going to do?" "I will protect you," she said. "And I will use what you created. That limb, that energy. To heal our people again. She paused. But I cannot do it alone. Eli turned toward her. What are you asking me for? Teach us, she said simply. Teach us how to feel again. Eli laughed quietly. You want me to teach aliens how to be human? Yes, the Queen replied. Because in your heart you remembered what even we forgot. Mercy. There was silence between them. Then Eli nodded slowly. All right, Your Majesty. But if we're going to fix a galaxy, I'll need a bigger workbench. A soft laugh escaped her, genuine, almost human. We will build you one. Later that night, Eli sat beside the window while Lura slept. He watched her breathing, the quiet rhythm of a life reborn. The new limb glowed softly, matching the stars outside. The Queen spoke again, her voice gentle. Do you miss your home, Eli Carter? He nodded. Every day. But Earth, it's not much different from here. People stopped listening. They build faster than they feel. Then maybe, she said, your coming here was not accident. Maybe the harmony brought you. He looked at her curiously. You think your magic energy chose me? I do not believe in coincidence, she said quietly. When a human gave my child her leg, the universe shifted. Even the stars noticed. Eli chuckled softly. Well, if the stars are watching, I hope they enjoy the show. The Queen turned her gaze to the horizon, to where her fleet glimmered like watchful eyes. They won't enjoy what comes next, she said darkly. The Council moves against me. They will not allow a human to live among us. Eli's smile faded. Then we'd better move fast. The Queen's eyes gleamed with quiet fire. We will. Tomorrow we begin rebuilding the Harmony Forge, the heart of our world. And you, Eli Carter, will stand beside me when it awakens. He looked at her, unsure if he should feel proud or terrified. You really trust me that much? The Queen's voice softened. I trust the man my daughter calls hero. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the alien horizon, pale gold over silver towers. The air shimmered, and for a brief moment, the stars themselves seemed to pulse in rhythm with Eli's heartbeat. The harmony was waking again. The dawn on Velora Prime looked different that day. The air shimmered like a heartbeat, and the clouds above glowed with soft gold light, not from the sun, but from the Harmony Forge awakening for the first time in 1,000 years. Deep within the palace courtyard, Eli stood beside the Queen and her daughter Lura. The enormous structure before them, a tower made of living crystal and coiled energy veins, pulsed with blue-white, light that hummed through the ground. This is the heart of your world? Eli asked, looking up in awe. The Queen nodded. Yes, the Forge of Harmony. It once connected all living things. If it wakes again, it could heal our planets, or destroy them. Eli gave a small grin. No pressure, then. Lura giggled softly, holding his hand. Her silver hair sparkled under the rising light. You can do it, Eli. The Harmony listens to you. He crouched beside her and smiled. It listens to kindness, Lura, not me. But even as he said it, he felt something stirring inside him. The same warm pulse that had glowed in his hands when he built her limb now throbbed through the air. The forge seemed to answer his heartbeat. The Queen stepped closer. Eli Carter, she said softly. Today we bridge two worlds, human and Veloran. Are you ready? He took a deep breath. Let's find out. High above them, however, the skies began to darken. Dozens of crimson shapes cut through the light, the Council's fleet. Warships, armed and roaring, descended upon the capital like a storm of fire. In the Council's command vessel, the Elder's voice thundered. The Queen has betrayed her throne. She allies with a human abomination. Destroy the forge before it corrupts our world again. The Queen's guards scrambled into defensive positions, energy shields rising over the palace. The city below fell into chaos. Alarms blaring, citizens running, the old fear of war returning once more. Eli turned toward the sky, his jaw tightening. Guess they didn't want peace after all. They fear what they do not understand, the Queen said bitterly. They see the harmony as a weapon, not a cure. And what do you see it as? He asked. She looked at Lura, who stood between them, her glowing leg pulsing in rhythm with the forge. I see it as my daughter's second chance. Eli nodded slowly. Then let's make sure they can't take it away. Explosions tore across the sky. The Queen's fleet rose to intercept the Council's ships, blue and red lights clashing like twin stars in war. The ground trembled as energy beams struck the palace shields. The forge shuddered, reacting to the chaos. Its glow flickered in a wild, unstable. "Eli," the queen shouted. "The harmony needs focus. It senses fear and anger, and it will collapse if we lose control." Eli ran to the control ring, a platform of light at the forge's base. He placed his hand on the glowing console. The structure pulsed violently, responding to his touch. He could feel thousands of emotions. Fear, hatred, love, all tangled together. He closed his eyes. "Stay calm, just like before." He thought of Lura's smile when she first walked, of the queen's trembling hands when she saw her child alive, of the quiet scrapyard where kindness had started everything. Slowly, his heartbeat steadied. The forge's light softened, the wild storm calming into a steady glow. The queen approached, her crown flickering with energy. "It listens to you," she whispered. "You're its balance." "No," Eli said, his voice steady. "It's listening to us." He extended his other hand toward her. For a moment she hesitated, then she took it. Their palms met, and the energy between them blazed bright. The human and alien energies fused, gold and silver swirling into one luminous flow. The forge roared to life. In orbit, the council ship shuddered as a massive energy wave burst from the planet. Pilots screamed through static, but instead of destruction, the wave spread calm. Engines powered down, weapons cooled, and targeting systems went dark. Inside the command vessel, the elder stumbled back. "What is this sorcery?" One of the younger officers stared at his screen in shock. "It's not an attack. It's peace energy. It's rewriting our systems, neutralizing all aggression signals." Impossible. But across every ship, alien soldiers felt something strange in their chests. Warmth, compassion. Some dropped their weapons entirely, tears glowing in their eyes as memories of family, love, and hope flooded back. The war stopped mid-air. Back in the courtyard, the queen gasped as the forge expanded into a giant sphere of light. Lura stepped forward, her small hand glowing as it joined theirs. Together, the three formed the living core of the harmony. Eli's voice echoed through the air. "It's not just energy. It's connection. Every living thing is linked. They just forgot how to feel it." The queen smiled through tears. "Then let them remember." The forge pulsed one last time, sending a final wave of golden light across the stars. For a heartbeat, every ship, every creature, human or alien, felt the same warmth of understanding. And then, silence. The light faded. The forge settled. The war was over. Hours later, the city was calm again. Eli stood at the balcony overlooking the peaceful skyline. The queen joined him, her silver eyes soft with gratitude. Lura ran around the courtyard laughing, her new leg shining brighter than ever. The queen spoke quietly. "You have done what no king, no army, no scientist could. You united two races with a single act of kindness." Eli smiled faintly. "Guess a broken limb was all it took." She laughed softly, the sound light and warm. "Will you stay, Eli Carter? This world needs you." He looked up at the twin moons hanging in the sky. "Maybe for a while, but not forever. I'm just a builder, and there are a lot of broken things out there that still need fixing." The queen nodded with respect. "Then go when you must. But remember, wherever there is kindness, the harmony will follow you." Eli turned toward her and smiled. "Then I'll never be alone."